Do you regard black magic as being purely fictitious, or is there some truth in it?
Some truth. 100% truth. There is nothing fictitious about black magic, in any way whatever. It is a fact. It is a fact which has existed for several thousand years. I mean, when we talk about black magic, we are talking about Satanism, necromancy, alchemy, witchcraft, the worship of Satan.
Right, welcome back, people. I know you've been waiting for this video very patiently. Well, I say very patiently, a couple of you have been on me, mate. But it's all good. I know you've been waiting for this. I've managed to get it out, and when you finish watching this, you will realise why this video took me so long to bring out and put together. Just because there is so much stuff that connects here, guys, and I really wanted to get it all and put it in a nice package for you. So first things first, before we get into this video, first thing I want to do is this. So the idea that we live in a fake reality or a false reality, or that our senses can't be trusted to encapsulate the totality of human experience, is nothing new, and many philosophers have discussed these ideas for literally hundreds of years now. And most of you guys know that me and my partner both study philosophy. We're both doing our master's degrees, and when you study philosophy, it really helps you get to grips with some of these more abstract ideas that I talk about in these videos. So to help you out, as I've mentioned before, my partner has a website, but she has recently done a page on appearance and reality, and she has designed a research pack, which is for the people for our website, but obviously you guys fall under that category. Now, this research pack was written by her, and it's going to give you a philosophically grounded understanding of what it means when we're talking about appearance and reality. And honestly, before you even watch the rest of the video, I advise you just go and download it now and read through it, because in my eyes, philosophy hands down is probably the most important subject that any child should be taking, because it creates critical thinkers, which is obviously why it isn't taught in any primary schools and hardly any secondary schools, because their programming is strong. Go and read it seriously, because like I said, it gives you a way more grounded understanding of what we're talking about. Some of these things are super abstract, but it's not like it's just, you know, quote-unquote crazy conspiracy theorists like me that have been talking about them. Literally the smartest human beings that have ever walked the earth have been talking about how our reality is nothing but an illusion. So they're the people we need to start paying attention to, and that's what my partner's trying to draw your attention to here. Right, let's get straight into this, because I know you lot are probably itching to hear this. Right, first things first, alright? Astroworld. First things first, Travis Scott. We can break this name down in a few different ways to start. Now, the gematria is perfect for rituals, I will say, and you can see here because it sums to 166 and 77. Two numbers, again, we've spoke about, but I'll go over for everybody who's new to the channel. These are two numbers that we've looked at extensively, okay, so the people that have this information, you can just add this to your repository of knowledge about these two numbers to help you carry on building up the picture, okay? So we've got Travis Scott, 166 and 77. Okay, so Secret Society also sums to 166 and 77. I mean, this one's pretty self-explanatory. These events are organised by secret societies, for lack of better words. And of course, these societies are based on secret knowledge, which also brings us back to the 166 and the 77. Now, September 11 also sums to 166 and 77. This is important because September 11 was yet another soul harvest, and as you're going to see shortly, Astroworld was a soul harvest. And what's more, they had the 7/7 bombings in London. Remember those? We had Flight 77 that crashed into the Pentagon. So clearly 77 is a very important number, okay, specifically when it comes to ritual sacrifice, and we've spoke about it before in light of the Dracos and the Divine Agdron. And as I've mentioned before, Mark Passio says that 77 is the number of the magician, but he doesn't really give any more on that. I'm not sure if that comes into, like I said in my video about the Dracos, the Divine Agdron, with the man and female coming together to create balance, to transcend duality, to become the magician. That's very sort of Baphomet-esque, but that's, again, very New Agey, so I don't know what Mark Passio means by 77 is a magician's number, but I have a few ideas myself. If you've seen my last video on the Matrix, you know that Christ sums to 77, okay? And I went over how 7 times 7 sums to 49, which takes us back to the bloodline number. Okay, annuit coeptus, which is Latin for favours are undertaking, and can be found on the dollar bill, right above the pyramid next to the all-seeing eye of God, which, surprise, surprise, brings us back to 166 and 77. Okay, so straight away here, as you can see, we've got multiple hits that are painting a very clear picture. Okay, we know that these entities behind closed doors operate through the celebrities. So be aware that these people that we seem to love and adore are simply conduits for their hidden hand. Whether they do it willingly or unwillingly, it really makes no difference. Um, I thought it would be worth mentioning, since we're discussing the dollar bill, that United States also sums to 77. And America sums to 49. Okay, remember I said 7 times 7 is 49? Well, that link fits perfectly here. Not only that, but we all know about the 4th of July, right? Which is the 4-7 date. Very special to Americans. Again, 47 as a word sums to 49. I've told you guys about 47 before, so this stuff's all connected, alright? Well, let's move on now. That was just some stuff that I broke down from the geometry of his name. But guys, go put Travis Scott in a calculator and go look through some of the hits, because there's other stuff there. There really is. Let's look at the date now. Okay, so this all happened on the 5th of November. Okay, first of all, this is a prime date. Okay, remember the 5th of November. Guy Fawkes, bloody blah, all that bollocks. Right, this date shorthand, you get 511. 11 is the 5th prime, so this would be the same for, oh, what a surprise, the 4th of July, because 7 is the 4th prime. So can you see what they do here? These ritualistic dates that typically have prime connections, okay? The 4th of the 7th, 4th of July, prime connection. 511, prime connection. Not only is it a prime date, but when we write this date out shorthand, we get 511, like I said, which is a huge number, because as you see here, Saturn sums to 511. And slaughter sums to 511 in Jewish. And, well, like the title says, this was a Saturn cube ritual, and the slaughter sort of speaks for itself. Okay, now bearing in mind that we can see here that November the 5th is the 309th day of the year, okay? That is very important, guys, because I think I'm the only person out here on the internet right now tracking this 39 and 93 the way I am. I have not seen anybody tracking this number the way that I've been on it for the past year. So we need to keep this number in mind. 39 and 93 is so fucking important. Yeah, November the 5th is the 309th day of the year. You drop that zero, it's 39. We're basically on the 39th day of the year, okay? And do you know what, guys? There has been an absolutely vile child abuse case that came out in England yesterday. Baby Arthur, yeah? I don't even want to go into it in this video because it makes my blood boil. The parents got sentenced yesterday, but Jesus fucking Christ, guys. When I was watching the news yesterday morning before I went to work, man, the house number where this kid was getting abused and where he ended up getting killed was 39. And it's just like, this stuff is not a coincidence. Like, the amount of stuff I've showed you guys about 39, the Dracos, about child abuse, about Saturn, and then I turn on the news yesterday morning and I see a child has been abused and killed in house number 39. This number is everywhere, people. It's everywhere. So this 511 date brings us back to not only the 511 for Saturn in Jewish, but also the 309th day of the year, which brings us back to the 39. So what a perfect ritual day, yeah, for these Saturn worshipping motherfuckers, huh? Tons of Saturn references. I'm like fucking 5 minutes into this. I could turn this video off now, guys. Seriously, I could, but I'm not gonna, obviously. Right, so we've looked at the 166 to 77. I've showed you how the 511 date is important. It's a prime date. Two links to Saturn, 309th day of the year, and also shorthand 511 is Saturn and slaughter in Jewish. Right. Travis Scott, aka T.S. Now, I made a post on this the other day on my Instagram, which, guys, if you're not following my Instagram, I don't know what you're doing. Honestly, I really don't know what you're doing with your life, because for real, these videos take me long to make, and I know I post very infrequently on here, but I can post very frequently on Instagram because it's quick. It's like boom, 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 done. I can't go boom, 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 done and make a YouTube video. There's too many parts to it. It takes me too much time. There's too much planning. So please, guys, if you have an Instagram and you want to see quick decodes and you want to see my work more frequently, jump on it. Come and see it, because the day before yesterday, I made a post about Toy Story. About 10 months ago, I was moderating a forum on Reddit called Saturn Occult Exposed, and I made a post about how Pizza Planet, okay? Remember where the toys go and they get lost? Pizza Planet. I'm gonna put the post up on the screen. The whole fucking shape of the building is Saturn, guys, and they've got Pizza, Saturn, Planet, and it's where the kids go missing and get abducted by Sid. Guys, Pizza Planet was Comet Ping Pong, and just look at this. This is going so off topic right now, but I've got to show you guys this. Check this. Look at the hits between Pizza and Elephantis. For real, come and see me on Instagram. Anyway, back to this. Travis Scott, T.S, okay, like Toy Story. That was my point. T.S. T is the 20th letter, S is the 19th letter. That equals 39, okay? So not only do we have Travis Scott on the 309th day of the year, but his name also numerically represents 39. T.S. Think of every saint. Remember I told you how those names typically have L in them for the Elohim? Well, that S.T. is also an epithet of Saturn. So S.T. and E.L. are both epithets of Saturn. And these initials are incredibly important, and I have to thank Max Spears sincerely for shining light on this to me a few years ago, because I haven't took my eyes off it since. Like I said, T is the 20th letter and S is the 19th. So we add those together, of course, we get 39. So Travis Scott really was the perfect person for this ritual on the 309th day of the year. Okay, but I think it's also important to note that those initials also apply to both Times Square and Trafalgar Square. Okay, guys, now I've touched on this very briefly before in one of my old videos. Ironically, two locations they decided to put the Arch of Baal in 2016. Notice the 216, 666, 36 triangular number. When they were trying to open a Stargate. By the way, this went totally unnoticed. I'm going to put the news link on the screen. But what they were trying to do is open a gateway here to let an entity come through. They put this archway of Baal in the different locations for 3 days apiece, the Trinity number, the manifestation number. And they were harvesting like some motherfucking pros, and we just sat there and watched it like, isn't that pretty arch? Like, well, we're fucking stupid, mate. Now, this event went totally unnoticed. Like, I'm not joking. Nobody was talking about this shit. And it was the most sus thing in the world, okay? Why the fuck have you got an ancient Iraq arch being erected in the middle of Trafalgar Square? It doesn't make sense. Like, even the reason they gave for it don't make no fucking sense, people. And they didn't call it the Arch of Baal. They called it something different, but it was the Arch of Baal, okay? And this all leads me to believe that both Trafalgar Square and Times Square operate as some sort of Stargate or portal for energy harvesting. Think about how many people pass through Times Square and Trafalgar Square in a day, guys. And again, really think here, Times Square. Times Square. The Saturn time cube. Cube square. The 2D version of a cube is a square. The cube is tied to time, so the square must be tied to time, right? Guys, they're telling you to your face. Not only that, but Times Square ties us straight back to that 47 we were speaking about earlier. Right, so as you can see, the numbers popping up here are repetitive, and if you follow my work closely, then you should know what I'm talking about already. The 77s, the 39s, the 47s, these are numbers we talk about all the time, guys. Right, now let's move on to the actual title, okay? Astroworld. Guess what? It's a double hit with a cube of Saturn. We'll get more into this cube aspect shortly, but I want to just draw your attention to this 145 and 46 first, okay? Now, the 145 sums to manipulation, 777, and order of Thelema. This is very, very important because, as I've said before, Crowley's system of magic is what rules the entertainment industry, and I have studied Crowley for quite a while now, and I know that the working title 777 is related to the London bombings. Of course it is. It makes perfect sense that we have the same thing popping up in the gematria of Astroworld. It should be noted that the Order of Thelema, which was created by Crowley, venerates the number 93, guys, and this is because of the Greek isopsephy value of both Thelema and agape, which means love, two primary tenets preached by Crowley. So this all comes back to the 39. Right, so is Crowley the one that started this 39-93 shit? Maybe, in this cycle, maybe he was. I don't think so, but I think he was hip to the 93. He knew all about it. That's why he venerated it through his Thelemic religion. And when you just put that all together with the links that we've seen with the Dracos and Saturn, now we see that Thelema had the number 93 and it was led by the beast himself. Seems to come together quite nicely. And I know all you guys are aware, you must be, all these hip-hop artists are partaking in this shit. Like, remember that picture of Jay-Z that came out years ago with his Crowley hoodie on? His whole do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, as you can see here. And look, it sums to 444, guys. Jay-Z released an album called what? Yeah, 444. Yes, I don't think there's any facet of this industry that has not been infiltrated by these people. And just to add to my point, check this, okay? September 11th, 2001 attack sums to 444. Guys, guess who releases an album on that day? Yeah, called The Blueprint. Yeah, Jay-Z. The Blueprint, guys. The Blueprint, the Blue Bloods on the day of 9/11. Come on, man. People seem to love Jay-Z so fucking much. It's actually unbelievable. If you knew what he was about behind closed doors. I mean, for God's sake, people, his label's called Rockefeller Records. Rockefeller Records. Fuck's sake. Just to add this as well, the Blueprint sums to 174 and 66, like Black Lives. Remember the album released on 9/11? So was there a soul contract signed on behalf of Jay-Z? How many Black lives were lost on 9/11? I mean, shit, this is what makes me think, because as soon as I see that 147 and 66 together, it makes me think of reptilians. Right, so let's move on. We've discussed the 145 and its ties to Crowley. Now we need to look at this 46. Pretty self-explanatory, this one. The venue is in Houston, Texas, which sums to 46. And sacrifice sums to 46. We all know it was a sacrifice, so perfect place for it to happen, really. Okay, let's get to this stage, guys. Now, if you remember in my previous time cube videos, I went on about how the net of a cube is a cross. Well, guys, this stage was literally an inverted cross leading into a huge opening which looked like some kind of fucking portal. Now, of course, an inverted cross is a satanic symbol, but like I said, it goes deeper than that, because the cross is also the net of a cube. So this entire performance was done inside the net of a cube. I just showed you that Astroworld has the same value as cube of Saturn, and it took place on the 309th day of the year, which takes us back to the gematria of Saturn. Not only that, but the actual date was 511, and Saturn sums to 511 in Jewish. I mean, guys, there is so much going on here. There is so many fucking links here. It just points to it and shows you that this was a stage psyop or a ritual, whatever you want to call it. Now, I have a lot of people messaging me about soul harvest and was this an energy harvest, and let me show you this information that I found, and then you can tell me what you think, okay? Now, in light of what we've just discussed about the cube, the stage, the Saturn references, trapped in the cube sums to 167 and 77. Again, okay, guys, why is this important? Well, first of all, 167 is the 39th prime number. There we are again, back to that 39. Remember, we had the 309th day of the year. Saturn sums to 93. Obviously, we spoke about the 77 earlier and found it in Travis Scott's name and a bunch of other relevant hits. So this trapped in the cube here is really, really important. Remember I mentioned the stage was an inverted cross with a net of a cube? Well, what are nets typically used for? Nets are used to catch things, guys. So this stage was designed with a purpose. I wonder what it was catching. I think we all know what it was catching. I think we know what the purpose was. Fucking souls. I don't know how you want to spin it. Energy, souls, life force, chi, prana. I don't care how you say it, but that stage was designed to capture whatever was being released then. And not only that, but cube alone sums to 77, guys, and so does sacrifice, and so does soul collection. Okay, so picture this being painted clear as day. Yeah? Right, enjoy the show also sums to 167, which is a 39th prime. In relation to music concerts and live events, how many times have we heard the phrase enjoy the show? It's a pretty typical phrase said at these live events. Well, what a surprise that it brings us back to the 39th prime number. Eh? And guys, live backwards is evil. So any live event could be read as an evil event, you know? So just bear that in mind, please. This brings me on quite nicely to my next point, actually. Satanic rituals, guys, equals 167. Someone asked me, was this a satanic ritual? There's your answer, mate. There's your answer. Satanic ritual sums to 167, the 39th prime. Yes, it was a satanic ritual. If you aren't getting what I'm hinting at, then I will just spell it out for you. Every live concert is a satanic ritual, and their only purpose is to harvest energy, and in some cases, like this one, where there was death, souls. Okay? That is all live concerts, live things are. They are huge energy siphoning events, and you're getting all your energy sucked up. Yeah? And I know you may think I'm just reaching here and saying shit for the sake of it, but please just really, really think about this. You know when you see those images from concerts of all the lights and everyone puts their phones up and the artist tells the crowd to hold up their lights? You know, people hold up their phones and shit. All the lights go off and then you've got this artist just looking out onto a sea of lights. What are we all made of? We're made of light, right? We're light beings. We're made up of photons. So this is symbolically offering up our light, which is the most divine part of ourselves, to these people. This is a huge ritual. When you see these images, this is just about as symbolic as it gets, mate. these also look like stars in the night sky. And there is such an occulted meaning behind why they do this. It's a lot deeper than just holding up your phones and singing along. You're willingly partaking and accepting the terms of the contract that says, I am going to harvest your energy when you partake in things like this. Now, speaking of energy, guys, did you notice where this stadium was? What this was called? NRG Stadium. Are you fucking shitting me, bruv? Energy Stadium. Energy Stadium. Energy Stadium. Energy Stadium. Bruv, come on. What a place for a cube ritual to go down. I mean, given the nature of these rituals, the fact that they're to do with the taking of energy. On top of that, look at the hits between Saturn and Energy, plus crushed sums to 39, which is exactly how they say the victims died. Now, Energy Stadium sums to 144. We spoke about this quite a bit actually. 1212 is 144, 12 hours on the clock and stuff. 144 is a time number. There are 1440 minutes in a day as well. And we'll get back to this a little bit later, okay? But just remember time, black cube, Saturn, it all fits. Now, let's look at the posters for this event, because this has got just about every archetypical occult symbol in there you can think of. It's got the hands, the tunnels, the stars, half of them are inverted. 5-point stars take us to Satanism. But what I really wanted to point out here was, you see here, they've put this 5 to 6. So as if to say the event started on the 5th and ended on the 6th, alright? But this can also be read as a 56 or a 65. And the 5th of November leaves 56 days in a year. So that was encoded in there. But not only that, guys, but this event happened 56 days after 9/11. Another soul harvest. 56 days left in a year, and it happened 56 days after 9/11. Guys, I'm not making this up. I wish I was. I wish I was making this up. So you know why they put the 56 on here, right? Not only that, but crowd surge also sums to 56, you know? And what a surprise. That's what happened. There was a crowd surge which sums to 56, and people were crushed, which sums to 39. It's ridiculous. The whole thing is numerically encoded. And guess what? You write out 39 as a word, guys, and it sums to 56. It's just ridiculous. Not only that, but Saturnus, which is again another epithet for Saturn, also sums to 56. So you can see it why they put that 56 up there, mate. That was encoded up to the eyeballs. The date of this incident, as I said, 5/11, leaves 56 days in the year, right? Well, Freemason sums to 115 and 56. How perfect is that shit? I would love for somebody to try and tell me that this is just a coincidence. I mean, this type of proof, in my eyes, is basically irrefutable. Straight up irrefutable. So getting back to this idea of the soul trap or the soul harvest, how to capture a human soul and sacrificed in a cube, both sum to 115. Again, we're coming back to that date. Something important I thought I needed to show you guys. You guys know what a jack-in-the-box is, right? That creepy-ass toy that you wind up and then this weird little thing pops out. So they made a movie about it. It's called Jack-in-the-Box, and the description reads, when a vintage Jack-in-the-Box is opened by a dying woman, she enters into a deal with the demon within that would see her illness cured in return for helping it claim 6 innocent victims. Right, so this movie, there's a demon in a jack-in-the-box, or in a cube. A jack-in-the-box is a cube, guys, and a dying woman makes a deal with this demon to kill 6 people. Remember, Saturn is the 6th planet from the sun, and the cube is the sign of Saturn, so the symbology makes sense here. Oh, well, this is the second movie, by the way. The first movie released on the 9th of November, which of course is the only other way of the year you can get the 9/11 date out, which I already said was a soul trap or a soul harvest. So now we have a demon trapped in a cube, which is a soul trap. Yeah. Do you get where I'm going with this, guys? But it don't stop there, because look, Jack-in-the-Box sums to 1, 2, 2, and 50. So does cube prison. I mean, perfect, right? Not only that, but the blue pill also sums to 1, 2, 2, and 50. And in the Matrix, the blue pill would be what you choose if you were choosing to stay inside the cube or inside the illusion. So that just goes very, very well. And topping all that off, soul trap, which sums to 1, 2, 2 as well. Now, we just spoke about that 56 briefly, but obviously, if you flip that in the reverse, we get 65. Guess what? Jack-in-the-Box sums to 65. So we have this link back to the Astroworld event. And that poster, remember the 5-6 on the poster? Well, it reads the other way, 6-5. Jack-in-the-Box is 65. I've shown you how Saturn was connected to that concert through the stage and the numerical codes. Another epithet for Saturn is the Keeper of Time, and that also sums to 65. So does ritual killing, which is what we saw happen at Astroworld, guys. Soul technology also sums to 65. Adrenochrome sums to 65. And last but not least, the Mandela effect sums to 65. And if you know about this, this takes us back to time again. And what have I said is previously responsible for this time manipulation? Quantum computing, or quantum computers, and quantum computer sums to 65. I mean, guys, I couldn't make this shit up if I tried. It just follows on so nicely from everything I spoke about in the last two parts. That's why I felt like I had to make this the part 3 to the Cube video, because it just all fits in brilliantly. Christianity and the Lord Jesus Christ also sum to 65, and this is maybe the most important point in the video, because I've already told you that Christ on the cross is just Christ in the net of a cube. Christ was sacrificed in the cube, remember? And the stage of the Astroworld concert was literally a huge cross. So think about this: if the cube was designed to capture souls, so imagine if this bloodline of Luciferians or Dracos, imagine if they started this shit back in Jesus' time, and they made that cross, that crucifixion, to trap Jesus' soul, and to take it and keep it, and to take dominion over the world. Maybe that's what they were hinting at, guys. I don't know. Man in a box sums to 93 and 39. Jesus would have been a man in a box, because he was on the cube. You know what I'm saying? Black cube sums to 93 and 39. Again, guys, this concert was on the 309th day of the year. The black cube sums to 93 and 39. Saturn sums to 93. Soul transference equals 93. And so does soul stuck in cube. Now, I want you to go back and just listen to all that again. That last little bit, because it's very important. Okay? And this is for everyone asking me if the Astroworld ritual was a soul harvest or a soul collection. This should be your answer. This should provide you with enough evidence to make an informed decision. Now, something else that happened at this ritual that I felt needed mentioning was the fact that Travis Scott brought out Drake. Drake's name is a three-way match with Saturn. So he's literally the perfect person to bring out a Saturn ritual, right? Also, guys, if you haven't noticed, Drake, Draco, Draco, like Draco Malfoy and Harry Potter. Notice he had the t-shirt on with a big H as well, with the 5-pointed star underneath. Now, the death toll they were pushing when this was all in the news was 8, and that's probably changed now, but that's what was all in the headlines at first, 8. And H is the 8th letter. And like I always say, 8 is a time number because it's just the infinity sign turned around. And those two little individual circles you see represent space and time. So Mr. TS, Mr. Travis Scott, or Mr. 39, brings out Drake, another 39, on the 309th day of the year to perform on their Net Cube stage. Like I say, these lot are obsessed with this planet. I'm sure you guys all know Adele. She's going through a huge Saturn ritual at the minute. She's 33. She's just popped back up with her new album. They all go through rituals at 33. Her new album, Easy on Me, which released on the 19th of November, is what she's been promoting. And what a surprise that Easy on Me sums to 119, which is the same date that it was released. You know, again, it's just the same shit over and over again. And speaking of new albums, I don't know how I forgot to mention this. Drake's new album is called Certified Lover Boy. Now, I already made a post about this before, and how the title is just a thinly veiled reference to the whole boy lover shenanigans that they've got going on in Hollywood that Mouthy Buddha blew up. So that title's self-explanatory. You run that shit backwards, it says boy lover certified, and your name's Drake, the Draco, boy lover certified. You just think back to Pizzagate. Yeah, and guess when this album was released? On the on the 3rd of September. I'm just reading this back now, it's actually hilarious. It's released on the 3rd of September. It's 3/9 shorthand, that's another 39. So at this point, you know, it's just a wrap on this 39. I don't know how many times I have to show you this shit being tied to these motherfuckers. Right, now the last thing I need to mention before I close this off is, if you remember in my previous video on the Time Cube, I spoke about how Ariana Grande is a Saturn archetype, and her name and her album covers are just all connected to Saturn symbology, well, she got introduced to a game called Fortnite a few months back, and guess what her character was? The Cube Queen. Really can't make this up. Even in the gematria, even Fortnite Cube event sums to 93. And if you go all the way back to the video where I was talking about this, it's lines up perfectly because all the things that she's been putting the game based on is everything that I was talking about, like what, 8 months ago. Now she comes in and she's the Cube Queen, and she's got this event and she's gonna slay the cube. And this cube thing is a recurring thing in Fortnite. It's been out for over a year or 2 years now, and it does crazy shit in the game. It's responsible for gravity change, terraforming the map, and obviously fucking with time. So you know that they're getting the children acclimated to these ideas of, well, whether we like it or not. And when you look up, when you play this game, there is a huge spaceship that sits above the map, and it looks like this, and that's what controls the cube. It literally sits right above it, and it is ominous as fuck. So if I'm taking any hints from this, then I'm assuming that whoever really does control this cube may be in a craft that looks something like that. And I had to bring this up because this is like real world evidence of this shit just being stuck in like video games. I made this video, like I said, way before she came into Fortnite as the fucking Cube Queen. Oh, and Fortnite does these live concert things where you can attend concerts in game. And guess who's one of the artists they teamed up with to do one of the first live concerts in game? Travis Scott. It's all weird. And the final seal off on this cube and soul thing is probably this, right? Cube sums to 31 and 13, and soul sums to 13. So we've got all the same numbers there, right? So it makes sense given what we've spoken about with the jack in the box and the cube and how the cube holds the soul, right? Well, I've also told you before that 13 is tied to soul cycles and karmic debt, and typically people that have a life number path of 31 or 13 have a fuckload of karmic debt. I've got a life path number of 31, so you could see me making this channel as some way to balance out some karmic debt that I'm trying to sort out, because, you know, I could have been a piece of shit in another life, who knows. So cube, soul, and karmic cycle all connect to this 13th day, okay? And what really ties all of those together? Time. Yeah, our soul is bound by time, which is represented by a cube in this case. And of course, time is also represented by the clock. So we're talking about time trapping the soul, right? And we know that the soul and the cube come back to the 13s. Well, if you look at a clock, every number that's next to each other sums to a 13. Yeah, so every number that's facing each other brings us back to that same karmic number. So 12 plus 1, 11 plus 2, 10 plus 3, 9 plus 4. All ties back to 13, so there's more tangible evidence and physical evidence that links 13 and time. And time kills, right? Time is the biggest killer of all. And what's another epithet for Saturn? Father Time. Saturn's got the biggest body count in the world because nobody escapes time. You know, we're by nature finite beings, so when this physical vessel or soul is trapped in a flesh suit, the only thing that releases it really is time. And when I'm talking about time here, it's time and Saturn are interchangeable. And that's why both time and kill have the exact same gematria. And remember earlier I showed you that the energy center, aka the energy center, sums to 144. Well, again, time sums to 144. And like I mentioned, there are 1440 minutes in a day. And time control sums to 144. Yeah, and when we write out our kill number, 44 as a word, we're taken back to 144. It's all cyclical. Mark of the Beast, Jesuit Order, and King Solomon also sum to 144. Also the Lizard King as well. And let that sink in, because it's important that if there's one thing you take away from this video today, is that when people say they in these videos, they're talking about a particular bloodline, whether you want to call that Jacko, reptilian, RH negative, Luciferian, Merovingian, I don't care what you want to call it, okay? But that bloodline has controlled this world for, I don't know, longer than me and you can fathom, okay? And they're the ones that are controlling and manipulating these cube events. Don't ask me how the fuck it works, okay? Because I don't know. The reptilians are quite possibly, well, they are the self-proclaimed smartest entities, and I really don't doubt that, because I think they've been conquering planets for thousands of years. And when you see the way they've done us, look how confused they've got all of us. they're clearly very fucking smart and they know what they're doing, but that doesn't mean they can't be stopped. Now, I think this video presents almost undeniable evidence that Saturn is currently the center of most rituals that have played out. And I actually have somebody on my Patreon who has gone back through history and tied basically every major world event to Saturn numbers. And I will present that information with him at some point. That's a shout out to Gematria Games Decoded. And I say all this to say that the glyph for Saturn is right here, okay? And this is supposed to represent the scythe that Saturn carries. However, really, when you look at this image, it's more like a H and a cross. Yeah, a H and a cross. We've spoken about the cross, the net of the cube, right? And I told you the H is the 8th letter. 8th represents infinity and space and time. So what are the chances that the actual glyph for Saturn contain the very symbols that are used in the ritual as well? Alright, there is more stuff to talk about here, but I'm probably going to cut it off because the next video is going to be touching on something a little different. It will still be on the Saturn time cube stuff, but I'll just be coming it from a different angle. So yeah, any questions, leave them in the bottom.